Hi again, fellow unlicensed thinkers. Today I want to talk about chaos and how liquefaction can make you an even better person than you already are. And I know you're great, but we can all be a little better. So before we get into that, if you could hit that like button for me, I can't quite reach it from here. Thank you very much. Okay, I think we all know what chaos is. There's a little bit of that going on in the world today. Let's get back to that. What is liquefaction? Now, a lot of you probably do know that, but it's a term for when the ground that is normally solid, which I'm sure you've noticed, ground tends to be solid, becomes more of a liquid. And it stays in this liquid state temporarily when whatever is going on, whatever has caused this disruption of the earth has ended, then the ground will go back to being solid. So say there is an earthquake. Well, in an earthquake, you see the ground shake, and what happens is it shakes all of the particles loose, and they become more of a liquid than a solid, collectively. Let's not get too scientific here. And so then you see things like cars and buildings and such kind of falling into the ground and the ground changing shape, and all of these different things happen. Well, that is liquefaction. The ground is becoming a liquid. It's changing from a solid to a liquid, and then all of that stuff settles and it becomes a solid again. It becomes firm like the earth, like concrete. It becomes a hard surface again. So what was solid becomes liquid, becomes solid again. How is this useful to us? Well, upsets are not just explosions and earthquakes. Upsets happen to us all the time. So we happen to run into all kinds of upsets. And again, maybe you've noticed lately, there's been a few upsets. There's been a few things that have changed our environment. But let's go back in time so we can really see where this came from and what this does to our brain. So back in the day, and I don't mean 10 years ago, I mean back when we were hunter-gatherers and, we lived in tribes and we were more nomadic and whatnot. Well, what would happen is a lot of times food would run out or something would change in the environment that would cause us to need to move, to go somewhere else to be able to sustain ourselves. And so fortunately, our brains are capable of this liquefaction. When an upset happens, we change who we are. We change what our habits are. They all become liquid. They go from being a solid to being a more liquid, to being something more mutable, to being something more adaptable. And they adapt to whatever that new environment is. And there's all kinds of things that are, to us, an earthquake or an explosion that causes this liquefaction of us. We could have a loss of something, a person, a job. We could move somewhere. We could have a traumatic event. We could, very much like lately, we could experience a new normal every day that puts us into this more liquid state. And when we're going through these things, it seems difficult. It seems like an explosion or an earthquake. But what it's really doing is it's providing us an opportunity, because prior to this, we were like the ground. We were solid. We were firm. We weren't flexible. We weren't mutable. So all of our habits, all of our personality traits, all of our attitudes, whatever they might be, they were all set in stone. They were hard. They were firm. But then we have these upsets. Something new comes into our life. We get a new job. One of these terrible things happens, like the loss of something. Our environment changes. We move. We end up in a new environment. We start hanging out with new people, whatever it might be. These are the upsets to us. And these are perfect because they allow us to become something different. So when I recognize that I am in a chaotic situation, when I'm in one of these earth-shaking situations to me as a person, I can take a moment and I can recognize this is an opportunity, because while all of that ground is still liquid and mutable, while all of that personality and attitude and habit of me is in a more mutable state, I can decide what I want it to be. I can decide to get rid of other things. I can decide to make new, better habits. I can, for example, give up drinking or smoking or donuts, and I can move to exercise and watching less TV and whatever it might be. So I can use this opportunity of chaos when everything is loose and able to be changed, and I can go ahead and change it, and I can change those routines. But I don't need to wait for giant upsets in my life. I can also make little upsets in my life, call them small earthquakes or whatever you like, small explosions. And they're so simple. I can move the furniture in my house. I can get up at a different time of day. I can change the order in which I make coffee and breakfast. I can change the way that I drive to somewhere that I go all the time. I can change these little things, these little habits. And what I'm doing is I'm not just changing that habit. I'm putting myself into a more liquid, mutable state. I'm putting myself into a state where I can change. I can change other things. I am more mutable. I'm making myself, as the old Chinese, more popularized by Bruce Lee, would say, is be water. Water is strong, but water is mutable. Water does not fear change. Water, it accepts it, it uses it, it goes with it, it flows with it. Do exactly that when you're experiencing chaos. Sure, the chaos might suck. That's what it is. But use it. Make the best out of it. See what it can become. See what you can become before you settle back in, before you become that solid ground again. See how many things you can change about yourself to make yourself like yourself better. And absolutely, one of the things that you can change is to start leaving more comments and sharing my videos. Have a great day.